Hello and welcome to Film Seizure. My name is Chuck Moore. With me, as always, are my co-hosts Jeff and Jason. Say hi, Jeff and Jason.
Hi, Jeff and Jason. How are you doing?
You did the thing. You did the thing.
we tend to always do the thing.
I hope those guys
I
are doing
do
well.
not. I always try not to do the thing because I know one of you jokers will.
I rarely do the thing.
Well, there you go. See, so I guessed right this time.
Okay, I guess I always do the thing.
Anyway,
Another
how's it
thing.
going?
Another thing we're doing for the second time is a month of Coen Brothers films.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
I lucked out on this month. We have 5 weeks, so we get 5 movies, starting with 1994's The Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah. So we're kind of going in order, right?
Kind of a little bit down the line. We have to skip one we've already done, and then we skip another one. But yeah, pretty much in order.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hudsucker Proxy is their 5th. I guess it has to be their 5th film, right? If we did the first 4.
Yeah.
And it is their biggest budget film, still to this day, as far as I understand it. They got a blank check after Barton Fink from our buddy Joel Silver.
Yeah, of all people.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
Action Man Explosions, wanted to make a Coen Brothers movie.
Which is weird. It's their biggest budget film and probably their biggest flop.
Oh, easily.
Right?
Yeah, it's their biggest flop. Yep.
Yeah, so this did not do well in theaters, which is, I don't know that all Coen Brothers films would be considered having done well in theaters, but most are critically acclaimed, right? And have a pretty good following or a pretty decent showing in the theaters. But this one...
It looks like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou beat it on budget by just a smidge.
Well,
really?
But if you adjust for...
Well, I think that is the rub, is if you adjust for marketing, which they put money in the marketing.
No, I was saying adjust for inflation.
Well, I guess that too. Sure.
Either way, it's way up there. And then at like $25 million, which is kind of weird that most of their movies are made for less than that.
That's why they get movies made.
Right.
Yeah, they don't generally make a ton of money, but sometimes they do. Like, Oh Brother, Burn After Reading. That has to be their biggest budget. That was $37 million.
Okay. All right. So for a time, it was their biggest budget.
For a
film.
time, it certainly was.
Yeah.
But even like their little movies, like Serious Man, quadruples its money.
Right. And
Yeah,
this made less than half of its money. Yeah.
True Grit. You look at that. That was a massive hit. We'll get to that one at some point.
Right.
That was humongous hit. Yeah. So yeah, they know how to make a crowd pleaser, and then they kind of do their little things, because they gain a little cachet within the system, and they do one for themselves.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like a Llewyn Davis or something.
Yep. This is kind of one for themselves, it feels like, even though it was supposed to be like a big market hit, like something just didn't go right here. I don't know. Jason, you look like you have a thought there.
Yeah, this is definitely a passion project for them. But yeah, it didn't really connect. I don't know why. And it's also kind of like one of those movies where it's like, are we ever going to make a movie again kind of deal, right?
Right.
Or are we ever going to get this opportunity, this blank check opportunity to make a movie like this? So they kind of went for it, whether or not they thought it would be successful or not. I think they just figured this is our chance. If we're ever going to make this movie, it's now.
Right? Yeah, because they sat on this script for a while too, I think. They wrote it a while back.
Yeah. With the Raimis, with Sam Raimi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone want to explain their connection to Sam Raimi?
I think that
the
Sam Raimi
Coens
was a producer on something. One of the Coens worked with Sam Raimi on a thing. Jeff's raising his hand.
The Coens helped with editing on The Evil Dead.
Yeah, but it was even before that. There was a there was a.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's never mind. Sorry. That was when they started talking about the Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, their relationship goes back for. You're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like one of them was a producer on one of their other things, and they decided to write something together, and it just happened to be a happy relationship. And they wrote Crime Wave together, which did get made. And that's technically a Sam Raimi movie. That's why we haven't covered it. And then they wrote this together, and this is technically a Coen Brother movie, but it's got a lot of Raimi in it, like so much Raimi in it.
It does. I mean, he was a second unit director, right?
Oh, yeah.
Too. So he did a couple scenes at least.
He's in it, and he did, I think, arguably the best scene in any Coen Brother movie.
Probably the most memorable.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we'll get into all of that fun stuff. But yeah, I think they were all roommates too at one point. I mean, but yeah, they go way back, the Coens and the Raimis.
Yep. So I'll start, like, since I picked the Coen Brothers movies for this month. The Hudsucker Proxy was always like a comedy favorite of mine by the Coen Brothers. I think as time goes on, it loses a little bit of its luster for me, but I still quite enjoy a ton of it. Like you said, the scene we'll talk about later is still one of my favorite scenes in film. I love it. But this is like the lower end of Coen filmography for me, like probably bottom 5 or 6. Jeff, what did you think? I think that you said this was probably your first time, if I recall correctly.
It is practically a first time. I remember certain bits from this. I know I had to have seen this either on VHS or on cable, probably in 94 or 95, like late 94 in the 95 someplace.
Right.
I am curious about one thing. So when we talked about the 5 movies that we were going to do, I said 3 I knew I had seen, and I was really looking forward to 2 of them in particular, because the other one I'd seen somewhat recently, but still like watching that one. And I knew that I hadn't seen The Man Who Wasn't There. And this was one I was like, I don't remember enough of it to say that I've seen this or not. You both had said, oh, well, we know one will be up your alley. The other one, we're not too sure. And this one was the one you were not too sure. My question is, why? Why did you think you were not too sure if this was going to be up my alley?
Because I think it's a little bit it loses itself in pastiche a little bit, and I don't know that you're not always that's not always your thing. Is a lot of, like, old styles or multiple styles mashed together, right? And it does that, and that's kind of what loses me in the third act, because it kind of shifts from a Preston Sturges movie to a Frank Capra movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know that really works. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I totally read it wrong and you loved it. And if you did, I mean, I wouldn't blame you. I think it's an incredibly charming movie at times.
Okay. Well, I didn't like this movie.
Okay.
You nailed it on the head, though, with one thing, Jason. At the halfway point of this movie, something happens, and I'm like, uh-oh, this movie isn't what I think it is. And I think, funny, the Hudsucker Proxy might be a proxy for a movie that I should like. And because because the way I looked at the first, there's so much stuff I do like in this movie. This is a gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is this a gorgeous movie? But we'll get to it. But something happens where I was like, uh-oh, it's all a facade, and I don't like it.
Well, yeah,
because I get kind of like I was glimmered a little bit by the look and by some of, I'm like, this is an excellent, like, if anybody were to ever say, hey Jeff, where's something where you have a hard time pointing to big features or big parts of a movie that you don't, or that you don't like, meaning basically every piece of this movie on the grand scale of it, concept, acting, the design of it, holy cow, the design of it, the way it's shot, the way it's edited, especially on the technical side, especially, but even some of the writing, or at least the setup, and some of the acting, all of that is so great. And then you add it all together, and it's like, how do I not have the equal? How is it not equal to what's great about it?
Yeah, I think,
and that's how I feel about it.
I think as we dig into it, I think we'll probably have some of very similar critiques of this. I when I first saw this movie, maybe the first 2 times I saw this movie in my early 20s, I was completely enamored by it. As I've gone back to it over the years, I've become less enamored by it. And mostly it's because it comes out of the gate so strong, so fast, and really it's like pure energy, and
it can't keep up the energy
for the first 2 acts, and then it just totally falls flat, and I'm bored the whole 3rd act. Yep.
Well, let's we talk about falling flat. We're gonna talk about that ending, because
the ending is like, whoa, how do we end it?
How do we get there?
Throw all this shit at the wall.
Because for an hour and a half of this, hour and almost 50-minute, hour and 55-minute movie, however long, for a long time I thought that's really weird that they paid a specific actor to not speak a line. That's odd. And oh boy, we come back around to him. But anyway, no, there is so much about this movie I do like.
Yeah.
And there is so much. I mean, they're on a technical level. This is the magic of movies, man. You know, I mean, but once you peel back the facade, you realize, oh, I didn't buy a ticket to Westworld. I bought a ticket to some back lot that's just a bunch of cardboard fronts, you know.
It just doesn't sustain or stick the landing. And I mean, I was
having problems before that, but we'll get around to it, because there is a lot to really talk about with this movie that is phenomenal. And
to me, it's almost like before Hula Hoop and after Hula Hoop. It's like after
I go a little earlier than that, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, because there is also a strange anachronism element to this too, where we're told it's taking place in 1958, 59, but everything looks like
30s.
It all looks like mid 30s, and it's very strange. Although I will say, even though after only about 5 minutes of Jennifer Jason Leigh, I was done with that character.
Yeah.
I wish if they had made a Superman movie in the 90s that they cast her for it.
I could see it.
But yeah, it's a little too much.
She kind of goes overboard with the My Girl Friday routine there. Yeah.
But
it's interesting. I was thinking about that, because this weekend, next week, the joke, I don't even know how to describe this, but the Coens are like, often have a joke that's not a joke. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
I know where you're going with this, and I was going to say I could only stand about 5 minutes of her accent, but I wanted 10 hours of Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
Because she was so pleasant, and it's like, I just want to tell her my life. You know?
But it's the same thing, right? Like, her shtick is it's bearable for, not even, it's more than bearable for me. It's like, I love her in that movie. We'll talk about that next week.
It's
but
so
Jennifer Jason. Jennifer Jason Leigh, it's like, they're serious.
That's the magic of that movie is the warmth among the cold. It is. But we'll get there. That's next week.
There. We'll talk about that next week. But let's talk about this movie, because when the movie opens, I thought, we're in Tim Burton's Batman universe.
A little bit.
They used a lot of these sets. They used a lot of these sets for the Bruckheimer Batmans, actually, if you can believe it.
Interesting. I do believe it, because it looks Gotham-y. It's just bright, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they use all the buildings and everything for Batman, the Bruckheimer Batmans.
Well, since you loved the beginning of the movie so much, Jeff, why don't you tell us about it?
So we open with essentially the big climax. Really, we learn that that the Tim Robbins character Norville Barnes is the president of Hudsucker Industries, and he's standing out on the ledge just before it strikes midnight on January 1st, 1959. And he is going to he appears to consider jumping. And so then it goes back like a couple of weeks. And the first sign that I think things are going to be pretty great at the beginning here is that boardroom.
Yeah.
Because every single one of those actors are perfectly cast as like rich fat cats. You know? And they're all talking
the mezzanine.
Yep. They're talking about this on the 44th floor, 45th, if you count the mezzanine or whatever it is, whatever they say.
That's right.
They're talking about like all the money that Hudsucker is making. And meanwhile, you have Charles Durning, who's warring Hudsucker, who started
wearing Hudsucker.
Wearing Hudsucker.
It's an important pun for a joke later.
Fair enough. He's like the founder, and he's like listening, and he's smoking his big fat cigar because he's the biggest, fattest cat of all of these big fat cats. And he, and it's like you see him look out the window, and he kind of gets this look on his face, and then once the guy finished, a little squirrely, I don't know what his name was, but squirrely, we'll call him, finishes reading off the financial report. He gets up on the table, and everybody's like, oh, he's going to say something really important. And then he just takes off running, blasts through the window. And for a long time, we think, oh, that's all there is to Charles Durning, apparently. It's like, wow, they must have had a few extra bucks around to hire him to be this part. So he's dead, splat on the ground. And so meanwhile, while Paul Newman, who is his right-hand man, like the vice president of the company, Sidney Musburger, he is going to, he's trying to figure out, it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. We can't wrestle the control of the stock because we don't have the majority. The majority just flew out the window.
Right, and it goes public.
The bylaws say that goes public January 1st.
Right. So what we need to do is...
So any dope on the street can control their company.
So we need to drive the stock price down. Now, granted, there's a big greasy Charles Durning spot on the road. And so, it is starting to tick down a little bit, but they need it to crash like immediately so that they can buy up the vacuum, essentially. Right. So how are we going to do it? Well, we just got to go get ourselves a proxy. Meanwhile, and then my other favorite thing about this movie, or another favorite thing about this movie, in comes Norville off the bus from Muncie. There's apparently a direct bus from Muncie to New York City. Enough so where there's a card for it.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I was like, well, maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? Damn, see? But anyway, he gets off and he goes straight to the employment agency.
Yeah.
God,
I love that ticker board.
Yeah, that great. Ticker board was so great. And trying to catch what some of the things were on it was fun. Yeah. It's like at one part, I think it said something about office. I think it said office manager, and then right below it said soda jerk. And I thought for a second it said office jerk. And I laughed and and then I realized, wait, no. Then my brain caught up. And I was like, wait, no, that's not what it said.
Two things about that. It looked good, but it also sounded great. It was like very...
the ticking.
Yeah, it just sounded really good.
Yeah.
But the main point of that board, right, is that every job required experience. So
and that's a great joke in general about finding a job, right? It's like,
right.
I know I can do X. To him, he is a business. He has graduated with honors from the Muncie College School of Business.
Yeah. It's on his briefcase or his luggage.
Briefcase.
It's on his luggage.
Yeah, and they're the Eagles. Anyway,
I love too the music. I mean, it's Carter Burwell score. He scored almost all the Coen Brothers films, but the Norvell suite, it opens and closes the movie with him, and it's so good. It is.
Are you talking about the one that's got the leitmotif from Spartacus?
Yes, it's got. There's a lot of reappropriated classical music in this. But the Norvell suite is wonderful.
So but that's kind of the classic joke, right? Like, it's like, well, how am I supposed to get experience at work if you need experience? Everybody wants to hire experience, but that's not often how it goes down.
But then it ends up in the old cliche. You got to start in the mailroom. Yep.
Oh my God. So
because they offer low pay for long hours.
Yep.
Yeah. I love and the other thing that I really did like too was that there was a charm to him, because he's all bummed out that he can't find a job. He goes and gets a coffee. He saves his last penny, and his coffee mug has created a ring around the Hudsucker Industries.
Right. He covered his one opportunity with this coffee.
Exactly. But then it followed him down the street. That's charming. It followed him down
the job
street.
chasing him, fate, like all that. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then that's where we get into the best set maybe ever designed, at least in any movie in the 90s.
Oh God, yeah.
And that mailroom, that vast, endless, it looked like the end of fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is miles cavernous. It is
all the tubes and
pneumatic tubes and all. Oh my God. Yeah, it's and everything. I mean, it is Amazon today, right? It's like you taking a break, you're getting docked. You got to take a leak.
And
too bad.
A lot of that feels like Terry Gilliam's Brazil. That whole scene.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For sure.
And I love you have the literal representation of the fact that you can never get anywhere in life with this old man who's throwing the letter like he's
standing beside him.
He's so good.
Yes.
He's so good. He's just throwing the letters in.
Because he's been there for 6 years, right? He's never
49 years. Next year he will be like one more rung up, but it's still going to be in the mail.
In the mailroom, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, parcels. He's going to move up to parcels.
If he's lucky.
After 50 years. Yeah. Yeah, it's, this is biting commentary. We all feel this. We all know what's going on here.
And there's a great moment, too, where Norvell's, he's like, what do you do if the envelope doesn't fit the mail slot? And it says, do not bend on it. He's like, well, if you fold them, they fire you. I usually just throw them away.
Yeah.
But then you see a little bit of Norvell's ingeniousness.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he does have an active, kind of inventive mind, right?
He's not the dope that we're told to believe he is.
No, really. He's not at all.
Except,
what does he do? He writes on it. Right. Please give this to your son, because the junior box, of course, is half the size of the senior box. Of the same person. So please give this to your son.
Right. Which is, we'll talk about a little bit more about that a little bit later, because that's where we start getting into my troubles. But he gets so in comes this blue letter. Everybody is freaking out. There's a blue. Oh my God. The trail of tears that blue letter creates is amazing.
Yeah.
So everybody hides from it, and Norville's got he's got an arm full of letters that he's got to deliver to the mailboxes and everything. And the guy's like, you don't look busy. Take this all the way straight up to the 44th floor. And so he, and it's like, you can't, you've got to, you don't give it to the secretary. You got to give it to the person.
Yeah.
And it's going to Sidney Musburger. And everybody's scared of Sidney anyway, because it's Paul Newman. I mean,
Paul Newman. Yep.
Paul Newman can be a intimidating guy.
Don't love his gruff voice in this, honestly.
But his gruff voice,
just the voice that he uses. I get the intention.
I guess they wanted Clint Eastwood, so maybe he's trying to be Clint Eastwood a little bit,
which is kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. But you're right. He's very. It is a different kind of Paul Newman.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does. He does the job. He's a suitable villain.
Oh, he's the villain in this?
That's why he has the gruff voice.
And I do love the elevator when he gets in the elevator and everything. It's like business. Buzz is great.
Yeah.
Buzz is fast talking elevator guy who knows where everyone's going. Makes jokes, cracking jokes the whole time.
Because they've already announced that that Hudsucker went out the window, and everybody had to observe a moment of silence, but that got docked.
Yep. This moment has been duly noted on your time card.
Oh my god. I didn't even catch that. I don't think.
I love it. Like, hey, buddy, when's the sidewalk fully dressed? It's wearing Hudsucker. He's just firing them off like all these jokes. That guy is Jim True. He is sort of kind of famous for being Perez in The Wire.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that was him.
Yep.
Interesting.
Does he play the same character?
No.
Once Buzz realizes that he has a blue letter, he's like, okay, straight up to the top. So everyone's aware down to the bellboy or the elevator operator. Is that a bellboy?
He's the
whatever.
Operator.
Yeah, the elevator operator.
Yeah.
Even down to the elevator operator knows how important this blue letter is.
Oh, the secretaries, one of them passes out.
But he goes up to the office. And
again, another great shot inside Sidney Musburger. First of all, the offices are so long that it takes, it's like it's imposing. But then as the second hand ticks, because you see part of that clock outside the window, and it's pointing like it is calling him out.
Yeah.
Right. Points right at him.
Yep.
Important to note too that the clock operator does the opening dialogue for this movie as kind of an omniscient, omnipotent type.
I do really like that opening monologue.
It's okay to call him a magical black guy. That's exactly what he is in this.
I think he's a little more than that, but
well, he probably is, but it's the trope. It's
that
trope.
stereotype.
Yeah.
Out of hope,
it's Bagger Vance.
Out of time. It's Bagger Vance, yeah.
But so he comes in and he's like, and Musburger's on the phone telling somebody to find the dope. Basically, he was like, we got to find our proxy. And,
meanwhile, Mr. Bumstead's waiting on him. His secretary keeps calling in.
Tell him I'll be
Bumstead's there. He's like, give him a magazine. I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah. And so Norville comes in, and at first, hey, wait a minute, we may have found our guy.
Right.
It's like he shoves a big fat cube.
Well, I love what he does is he puts the blue letter in his apron. And then he pulls his design that he showed the old man earlier of the circle. He pulls it out of his shoe. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Takes his shoe off, pulls out his shoe, unravels it. It's like, I got a big idea for you, for kids.
Yeah, it's a circle.
It's another example, though, of his ingenuity. Ingenuity? I don't know. I'm using the wrong words. Ingenuity. Yeah. Ambition is like recognizing the time and the place that you're at.
And he'll probably never get another chance. Hey, maybe he'll get fired, but hey, he's already at the bottom. Right?
Yeah, he's already at the bottom. He'll just find another mailroom.
Yeah, I can always go back to Muncie. And then, that's when Sidney Musburger realizes, I think we have our man. And starts grilling him about his education. Probably didn't have much education, do you? Well, I graduated with honors from the college.
Muncie College.
And there's a which college? He's like, Muncie is a business college. He's like, okay. So then I bet you were real dope, right? I bet you all your friends called you a jerk. And he's like, no, I was voted most likely to succeed. And so at this point, he's like, get out of my office. And this is one of those great moments of Tim Robbins' physical comedy. with lighting the trash can on fire and then stepping on it and trying to bring the big jug of water over to put it out, and the stepping on it, and then it's lighting his foot on fire. It's like, it's wonderful. I mean, Tim Robbins is just such a tall, lanky looking dude anyway. And then when he
he's
does
so
scenes
much
like
taller
that,
than Paul Newman.
yes, when he's doing that type of physical comedy, it looks perfectly clownish. It reminds me. This scene so much reminds me of Spider on Your Head scene and Nothing to Lose.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
They're like mirror images in a lot of ways.
And so basically, like, he almost burns up the most important thing, the most important contract that he
The
has.
Bumstead contract.
The
We're working on
Bumstead
that for
contract.
months.
Then he it ends up basically, I mean, the contract gets everywhere.
It goes out the window.
It goes out the
Well,
window.
first it's the first page, right? And when he calls the secretary and he's like, I just need the first page retyped. He's like, well, that's going to take like 3 months to get that. So he's like, just the first page. But then, as Norville is trying to put out the fire, he's doing everything he can. He ends up opening the window. And that's when all the shit flies out of the window.
Right. But at that point, like, Newman was right. I mean, or Musburger, Sidney's right. It's like, this is our idiot. This is the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do a quick cut to Mr. Bumstead. Did you recognize Mr. Bumstead?
Yes, but I can't remember. I was like, oh, that's
John Polito. Always put one in the brain. Also the brother Shamus from Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he's been in at least a couple of Coens, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Those two. Yeah. And this one.
just real quick, John Polito. Yeah, always welcome.
So basically, we're off, right? It's like they name him the new president. He gets suits made. He gets, it's like, it's a whirlwind next like hour of his life.
Oh God, real quick. Yeah. I fucking love the double stitch joke. On
the pants?
So much on the pants.
Because he's like, hey, I've got you by your pants. Because Sidney falls out the window. And he's like, my pants. And it's like,
and then he gets pensive while he's being hung out the window. And it flashes back to him at the tailor's. And the tailor is like, do you want a double stitch? I'll give you a double stitch. It'll last forever. It's like, why would I want a double stitch, He's like, no. And he denies the double stitch. And then you start to see the stitch start to come apart as he's
around his belt loop.
And he says, oh, shit. But then it flashes back again, and it shows the tailor alone making the suit. He's like, you know what? Mr. Musburger is such a nice guy. I'm going to give him a double stitch anyway.
What a crock of shit.
I love it.
It is funny, though, because
it adds like a really fun tension to that scene.
Yeah. And the rich and powerful are always getting shit for free, right?
Right. Yep. And
everything always seems to swing their way.
Yeah.
Sure does. Basically the next hour, basically they give Tim Robbins a makeover, and it's the news is about to hit the street that there's a new guy. And we flash over to Fraser's dad, John Mahoney.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need to get the story on this. Who's this guy? Who's this new wonder kid? Basically. And in barges Jennifer Jason Leigh, Amy Archer.
Yeah.
Who's like, see here, I know what the dope is.
She's Rosalind Russell on steroids.
Yeah.
Like give her like a snort of cocaine, Rosalind Russell, and that's what you get.
And so she's like, well, first of all, she always brings up her Pulitzer. So like the guys are like, I'll bet you $5 that she brings up her Pulitzer. When she doesn't at first, like the one guy pays, and then she's like, I'll bet my Pulitzer on it that he's an idiot, that he's an imbecile. And so she has this whole thing where she's going to fake being the poor girl on the street who can't afford her lunch, and it will basically if Norville is the imbecile that she thinks he is, he'll have a soft heart for her, and he'll pay for that, and basically it leads to him carrying her all the way up to his office.
Yeah,
I do like the noir feel of that scene with the two guys doing the what would be an inner monologue almost back and forth with each other. I love it.
I liked it. It was I don't know if I liked it that much, but It was okay. I mean, it was one of those things that was a little too long.
He's wise.
She's good. Wise. She's good.
but yeah, so they bring her up, and then
I got
basically
gas, Benny.
they ask for bromo at the end of the scene.
Yeah, it's Benny and Lou.
But they, so at the end, they, or at the, after that, he takes her up to the office, and she's able to find out where he's from. She also notices he has an empty desk, almost as if he's got like an empty head. Like there's nothing there for her to really get anything from.
Just a pencil rolling around.
Just a pencil rolling or just rattling around. But then she does see something there about Muncie. And so she's able to use that to basically ingratiate herself to him by being another local girl in the big city.
I do like her trying to keep up with him singing the fight song.
Oh yeah. He's really good in that scene.
Yeah. And then basically he hires her. He hires her as his secretary, but she writes the story that he's an imbecile.
Yeah.
And
obviously he doesn't know this. Nobody really knows who she is in the Hudsucker.
Not yet. Right.
Yeah.
Not yet. But yeah, so this is where things start to get a little rocky for me. Because by the time he gets the paper the next day to see that, this lady doesn't even know who I am, and how dare she? All of that is fine, right? And I'm fine with that, and I'm fine. I like the scene where he goes, because shortly after that he has to go and meet with the other investors who are starting to get worried, and he does not make any friends.
Oh no. Oh, I know a little Finnish.
Oh God, yeah, that and the one, so that guy punches him. The Texan wanted to punch him. Or the oil guy, I would assume.
Peter Gallagher is there for some reason doing a Dean Martin impression.
Yeah, that's weird, man. That is so weird. But he's part of one issue that I started. This is where I was like, maybe things aren't so good here. Is we don't really see Jennifer Jason Leigh truly start to realize that maybe Tim Robbins is more to him than what she. I mean, he's been nice to her, yes, but like 2 scenes after he is saying, "Well, she doesn't know anything about me," and she kind of like gets a little defensive and all of it. 2 scenes after that, they're kissing on that balcony, and it's like, and then she starts defending him, and it's like, it's like I don't. It's missing a scene there, right? Like there's a scene, or it's just missing a single line where he says something actually smart, or he says something that she overhears that catches Paul Newman off guard, or something like, right? And then she can say, wait a minute, this guy wouldn't know that if he's an imbecile, or wouldn't think that, or wouldn't say that, or would, something like that would have been better. And that started to bug me. And that was when I had hit the top of the top of the roller coaster, and it's like, boy.
I'm good, like I said, until after he invents the hula hoop. And,
I mean, there's still a couple of good scenes here, but I'm starting to.
I think her conversation with Moses was a lot of the tipping point for her too.
Yeah, and I don't love that either.
No, but it is the reason. One of the reasons for her tipping over is he explains to her what's going on, and I think she starts to have some sympathy, right? And then it develops, obviously, a little more than that, which is a bit of a jump too. But
I mean, the sympathy. She's not designed to be a character who you would think would be overly sympathetic in that way, right? Like none of the characters in this movie are really kind of built to have that kind of dual part to them. Like they're all flawed characters, right? In this movie, like there's even Tim Robbins is victimized by his own ambition, right? And honestly, he gets a get out of jail free card in the form of a literal fucking angel.
You know who kind of does this? What movie does this right between two similar characters is Brewster's Millions. You've got the kind of the imbecile who's just got all this money and he's spending it foolishly.
He's the schmuck. He's not necessarily an idiot, but he's the schmuck.
And she's the smart brainiac who doesn't understand why he's the way he is, but she sees like little dashes of greatness in him, right?
Yeah.
But everything like is calculated to a point to where it doesn't really like the big we're on the same side moment doesn't come until the very end, right? When all the tumblers have fallen into place. That's the way like a Preston Sturges movie is kind of more structured. But this movie is losing its way because it wants to be a little bit like Capra sentimentality, right?
I think one major difference for me, at least, Brewster's Million and this is that you get a lot more screen time with those two characters. Like they're together a lot more, even if there's no explicit like telling of her falling for him or whatever she's doing for him. It makes sense. I think we spend too much time away from her in this for that to make sense, but also I don't know if we could spend any more.
But when you have
time
to have
with that
like
character,
a fantasy character tell her the plot,
right? I mean, well, it turns out that's the whole movie, right? Like in a lot of ways, which is unfortunate.
It's kind of unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah,
I figured they should have just played this a little more straight, in my opinion.
But there's only so much you can do with the idea that small town kid catches lucky break, goes to his head, and then he makes a mess of everything, right? Like that story's been told a million times. It is a fine structure, but that story's been told a million times. But they went too far with the correction on trying to make it interesting.
Yes,
I'll agree to that. If it was played super straight, I'd be like, well, I've seen this before.
Well, I don't necessarily mean super straight, but keep playing it like you've been playing it, because I've been enjoying it. Right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be original. I mean, they've come right out and said that we weren't trying to remake any particular Sturges movie. We weren't trying to remake any particular Capra movie. We just wanted to make one of those, right? And they were doing a great job of it until they weren't.
Right. Fair.
Okay, but still, the fucking hula hoop montage.
Yeah, let's get to that, because this is pretty great. I think we should probably first talk about set it up how, like, we brought up the thing that he has a little piece of paper with the circle. But that's the thing
for kids.
Right. He keeps saying it's like, it's like I've got this great idea, and he pulls it out and he shows one person, and it's just a circle. It's a perfectly drawn circle, and he's like, for kids, and that's just how it is every time. And it's like, and people kind of look at it, it's like they're puzzled by it, because it's like, well, it's just a fucking circle, right? It's like, right. What do you mean? It's like, what's so great about this?
He's not giving it any context whatsoever.
Right. Nope. He's just like, this is my thing. Now, it is something.
Other than it's for kids.
Other than it's for kids. Now, it's kind of funny, though, because he gets his test, he gets his test version to show the board, and he knows exactly what to do with it, but he never explained it to anybody. And so when we finally do see it, we do realize that if you don't know that he's inventing the hula hoop going into this, or looked at a poster, that's kind of one. It's like it kind of.
I mean, they sold this movie on that scene, so you kind of knew.
I know, but it's
he
demoed
he demos it before. Yeah.
But like the thing is, it's like at the halfway point is when he basically demos the thing, right? Yeah. If we didn't know that was what he was creating, I think as an audience, we would have a whole different opinion of him, because he has been presented for the most part as this kind of doofus. He's like not necessarily stupid, not necessarily obviously stupid, but not anything special. But then, he's like, he's got this picture of a circle, big whoop. But that's a marketing problem, not a storytelling problem. Absolutely. No, I mean, that is true. That is true. And in a way, the marketing
betrayed the story a little bit.
But
sure
this might have been one of those types of situations where it's like, how the hell are they going to market this without giving it away? It's
right.
like, I'm betting somebody in a closed room with only silhouettes told Sam Raimi they got a problem with marketing and they have to brainstorm a solution. It's like, just put it on the poster, or whatever.
They did with a bottle of whiskey not in silhouette.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, no, I mean that, and yes, that's marketing kind of gave away the ghost there a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, it does make him appropriately an amazing inventor, you think.
Yeah.
But it takes two people to make the thing really a big hit. And that kid is so into it.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
So
but
good.
Anyway, we're not there yet. But
So
that kid, like, he was like a professional hula hooper. That kid was into it.
Yeah.
But the concentration on his face. Anyway, we're not there yet. Talk about the scene, Jason. It's movie magic.
It is movie magic. It's wonderful. So Sam Raimi directed the hula hoop montage. He was second unit director, but he was given almost, I think, all the montage duties in this movie because that's kind of what he does. He's a really good montage filmmaker, and God, it's wonderful. Like, it starts out with the order for the design specs, and they're going different places in the building through pneumatic tubes and everything, and it's this whole hustle bustle of trying to get this thing made, and it's cut real fast. And then you also cut to this room, this woman reading a book. She's reading War and Peace Volume 1. And
two
behind
dudes.
her, two guys standing, and one guy at the desk in silhouette, one of which is Sam Raimi, but you don't know that because you can't see him. And then a bottle of whiskey. It's always in the shot, but not in silhouette, which is so funny to me. I don't know why. It just stands out. They want you to know that's whiskey. And they're just spitballing names. Like, what
the flying donut.
The hipster. And it keeps kind of cutting back and forth between them and production of the hula hoop. All while you've got the like music from Spartacus and Cacciatore Spartacus, and kind of given the Carter Burwell treatment. But the every time they cut back to the guys, the ad guys, marketing guys, she's got a different book. You notice that? It's War and Peace Volume 1, then it's War and Peace Volume 2, then it's Anna Karenina. So they've been at this a while. That's how they kind of show you the passage of time, which I think is genius.
Mm-hmm.
But then, okay, it's finished. The hula hoop has been produced. It's gone out to stores. I love how there's a little bit of bureaucracy in there too with the price. Like,
oh my God, yeah, because it's like it's going to cost 59 cents to create the thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, you notice the only real color in the whole movie are the tubes that end up being pressed into the hula hoop. But anyway, it's going to be 59 cents to produce. We could probably sell it at 79 cents. And the guy looks at it and goes, and then he just draws in a 1 in front of it. And he's like,
Yes.
So $1.79 gets you a brand new hula hoop.
And you can see the stakes here, right? Because there are millions of these hula hoops being produced in like a huge freaking warehouse. Again, like this massive space, right? And then they all start going out to the stores, and we follow one particular toy seller in general, like, or in particular, just one guy. And I love this because it's so goofy, because it's one day of sales and there literally aren't any children out yet because they're all in school. But he's just like, why aren't these moving yet? I've had them on sale for an hour. I've had them on sale for 2 hours. They're not moving yet. And he keeps lowering the price to the point that they're free with a purchase. And it's all stickers.
Yeah.
And eventually he's just so fed up with it. He's the least patient toy seller in the world that he just tosses them all out the front door.
And they all go flying, and one in particular goes on a journey.
Yes, it does. And it turns a corner, and it's so wonderful. I wonder how many times they had to shoot this to get it right. But it does a little like circle around,
little pirouette.
Yeah. And then lands right in front of them. And the music has all been building here. The boy steps into the hula hoop, picks it up,
steps into the ring,
yeah. And then starts just epically hula hooping to Saber Dance. And it goes into slow motion, and he's just like the best hula hooper ever. This little boy, he looks like he'd be on like Little Rascals or something.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And oh my god! And that's when all the kids come out of school. Like
they come screaming out of school.
It's like the last day of school. Apparently, they're just all screaming coming out of school, and they all turn the same corner the hula hoop did, and stop right in front of the boy as he's giving the greatest toy demonstration of all time.
And then he puts it around his neck, and he's like,
yeah, I love the voices or the faces all these kids have. They're just mouths wide open agape at this display of hula hoop prowess. He's doing it around his neck. He's doing it around his foot.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, just completely stone-faced. The kid is the best. And then, of course, they all go screaming back around the corner to the toy store to buy a hula hoop, to which all the stickers start coming off.
And then he adds a new
the price
one.
Gets raised, yeah.
For $3.99.
And it's a success.
You touched on something there that I have a problem with in this movie, and I'm trying to figure it out, because central to the theme is the giant clock, right?
Yeah.
But the passage of time and everything else makes almost no sense.
Right.
Like I don't know if that's like purposeful or not, but like you have that whole transition you talked about with War and Peace 2 in the book. Mm-hmm. You have the
Unless she's just a fast reader.
Well, that's the only other explanation, right?
Yeah.
Or that day of sales, like is time just really crunched in this movie?
Well, that's the other thing also. It's like when those kids are coming out of school, this is supposed to be December 1958. Those kids are dressed like it's summertime.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if it actually starts sooner, but you're not really aware of it.
No, it said 1958, I think.
No, I know, but you could have a whole year instead of a few weeks.
Well, I know, but like I thought it said it was December, like on the paper.
I thought it was pretty late in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So the passage of time really sucks.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
It
doesn't.
I mean, I guess it's a little bit. I mean, it's that magical realism, which is, boy, that's hit or miss with me sometimes.
I think.
Says the guy who loves the people who have superpowers and punching things into oblivion.
I was just going to let that go.
I think the clock. I think the clock is. It's less about time, the passage of time. I think it's more about fate. And about like the circular nature of fate.
Sure, but you can also use it to stop time.
Karma. They
literally
have that whole conversation about karma, and it comes around, goes around. Yeah, I know, but
and then there's also the whole fact that the very first line is right. The very first lines of the movie is about how it's just before midnight, 1959. So time is a really important element to this.
Yeah, but
as according to the clock guy.
I think it's kind of, I guess, more of a motif, I guess, than a theme.
I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck, I thought about that too.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird.
But I love that scene. I love it.
No, that whole montage
I watched it 3
fantastic.
times. It's great.
It is great. Agree.
But the hula hoop's a hit, and of course now he's like the toast of the town. Norville is, right. And it starts going to his head.
It's going to his head, but it's also ruined the plans of Brent Musburger.
Yes, it has.
Brent Musburger.
That was a joke. Of Musburger. Because they greenlit the whole thing to sink the company.
Yep.
And because they misunderstand. I mean, again, you could say, well, a big part of that is these are old rich guys who don't understand what actually is going to sell.
It's a real world shit. It's real world shit. Like the people making the decisions don't really understand the end user, right? Like, yeah.
They, the one guy with the eyebrows starts crying because they had dumped all their stock.
Were out of control.
They dumped all their stock to help sell the idea that
they didn't. They didn't. Musburger did.
Yes, he dumped all of their stock.
Of their stock. They didn't know that he sold. That's why he's reacting.
I would have been a millionaire.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I'm getting off this crazy train or whatever he says. he tries to pull a Hudsucker.
Yeah, and the him sticking to the glass like Wile E. Coyote, I kind of felt didn't fit the rest of the comedy.
It's a little silly.
It's a little overly cartoony.
Replaced it with plexiglass last week.
Yeah, but
yeah, this is kind of where the movie starts to drag for me.
Yeah, because then like he starts like he's dating Anna Nicole Smith, Anna Karenina Smith, and then like that gets Jennifer Jason Leigh mad at him, and it's like, come on, yeah, it's like we're building towards something. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like he's listening to string quartets in his office and having his
there's
massages, and it's just I don't know. And
they really hammer the idea that it's gone to his head home pretty hard.
They really do.
Which I would accept if everything is constructed a little bit better, if that makes sense.
And then there's the whole thing with Buzz. Buzz pitches him his own circle idea, and it's a bendable straw.
Yes.
So you don't have to drink it from up here. You can drink it from down here if you want.
Yeah. And, great idea. I love bendy straws.
Of course, Norval can't have it. It's like, I'm the idea man. So he rejects it out of turn, and he fires Buzz, to which Buzz is like bereft at the loss of his job. It's all I've got, buddy. But then it's like gets into this weird like conspiracy where Buzz is
Buzz reveals who Amy is.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's actually the janitor, I think.
Oh no, it is the janitor, because the janitor, I guess, is supposed to be the devil or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has to have a sword fight with the clock guy who's supposedly God, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? And by that point, I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
I'm like, why is this in this movie? Yeah, I know. Yeah. And then there's a whole like conspiracy thing where Norval is then accused of stealing the idea for the hula hoop from
Buzz
because it was the same design, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But also kind of just irritating at this point, and he's gonna get fired. Like Sydney comes in, tells him, you had the fastest rise and the slowest fall or something like that. And
the shortest it was the shortest climb to the top, but the longest fall.
The longest fall.
It's almost like everything in this movie is represented by Charles Durning jumping in the beginning of the movie. The story, his rise and fall, like all that stuff is related to a quick splattery death. Even the movie itself.
Every step he took was a step up. Of course, except the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I could bottle that boardroom scene at the beginning too.
That's great. You know that's directed by Sam Raimi too, right?
The whole boardroom scene, like after it as well.
I don't know if they did it all together, but definitely the Charles Durning.
That I can definitely. I can definitely see that.
I would assume they filmed all of that together, but maybe I'm wrong.
That is some of like the sharpest dialogue in the movie. Is that whole sequence in the boardroom at the beginning? It's
very concise, very
perfectly written, perfectly executed, perfectly edited. It's really just perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point. It's just everything.
Well, there's something really big that needs to be said about what happens at the end of this.
Go ahead.
So this all circles back. So basically, the kid's had it rough. See, he's lost his job. He's lost his mojo. He's lost his girl. He's lost everything. So he's going to go and jump out the window of his office. So now we've come full circle like a clock. I guess we're going to do the time thing. So like a clock, we've come
like
full circle.
Karma, I guess. I don't know.
Like a rock, Ford will be there for you.
Like a rock.
So he's going to jump out.
Happened. Sorry.
He's going to jump out the window, right? So he does. He falls when he decides maybe I don't want to jump, and because he's out on the ledge and he doesn't want to jump. But the janitors come in and lock the
thing like Odysseus or something like that.
Elysius or something like that. Anyway, I'm sure that means something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he falls basically, and we think, oh boy, you know, we're given about 5 minutes to think, oh boy, he's gonna.
That's Aloysius, by the way.
Aloysius, okay.
Aloysius, yeah.
Anywho, he's
Smitty.
I don't know why that's so funny. That's Aloysius, by the way, not Aloysius. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah.
That's like you were playing me and I was playing you. That's cool.
Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah, it's like this time we got to mispronounce the names.
Yeah. That's karmic retribution there.
Oh, like a circle.
Yep.
Oh, what goes around comes around. See?
Time to move on, boys.
So he's falling, and clock guy is like, oh crap, and he sticks a thing in the gears and it stops time, and Tim Robbins is like, what? And I'm like, what? And then we hear Charles Durning singing, is it She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what? And then he floats down as an angel. And I'm like, what?
It's got a halo on. It's all the fat up there.
I'll admit,
another circle.
Yeah.
that I kind of, and this goes back to your sum, or the parts are greater than the sum of its parts, or whatever, the reverse of that.
Whatever yeah.
I really like this scene, but it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. And I want to make sure that
I like Charles Durning.
Yeah.
Durning.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Whenever Doc Hopper shows up, I'm on board. But I want to make it really, really, really clear that I know this movie got reappraisal over the last few years, and I understand why people like this movie. I certainly understand why people think that this is an underrated classic in some regards, or what have you. But it just didn't work for me. And if somebody, like Chuck, you said that this was a comedy favorite of yours over the years. Yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff in this. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. And I don't, and if both of you said, oh, this is a great movie, I love this movie, I wouldn't have had any problem. I mean, I wouldn't try to convince you otherwise. I would just say, this is why I don't like it.
That's the way it should be anyway, right?
Anyway, exactly. But like, let's put it this way. I'm glad I rented this movie and didn't buy it, because then I would have been always looking at it on my Amazon thinking, oh no. It's like, oh, why did I buy it? But anyway.
But there's so much here that admittedly you like. I mean,
technically if this was shown to the Muncie College of Art Direction for film, I'd take that class. I'd take that class all day. Because technically, this is an excellently put together movie and design. In particular, it's an excellently designed movie.
It just doesn't earn all of its moments, right? Like it could have earned.
That is exactly it.
It could have earned this ending. It could have earned the scene with Charles Durning being an angel. There's some stuff missing. So I think it's there.
The pieces are certainly there. It's just it's configured.
I just think like getting angry thinking you'd be angry if you bought it is a little silly.
No, that's just no.
It's a little bit hyperbole.
Right, it is hyperbole. Absolutely. I mean, let's just say that what I really mean by that is I have no intention to watch this movie again.
See, it's funny, I'll watch it again.
Clips.
I'll probably just check out in the third act again, though.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would certainly watch that montage again.
Yeah,
and I would certainly watch the beginning of that movie.
Well, nothing puts me in a better mood, honestly, than that montage. And that's a lot.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine too. Like I said, if this was taught in film schools for like how to design a movie, absolutely it should be in film schools. That said, I watched Citizen Kane in a film class. I'm not chomping at the bit to watch that again.
That's fair.
But again, that's another movie that has a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
That obviously work. But anyway.
No, that's totally fair. So Chuck, tell us about the big reveal of the blue letter.
Yes, because that's the whole point.
Let's wrap this puppy up.
That's the whole point of Charles Durning showing up.
Yes, so Charles Durning shows up and he's having a conversation, or Hudsucker shows up and he's floating in the air like a minstrel, right? Singing.
He's an angel. He's literally got a halo.
Yeah, he's an angel.
Well, he's got wings. He's literally got wings.
He's still a minstrel because he's singing She's Coming Around the Mountain.
Sure. A minstrel angel. I'll buy it.
Yeah, and he kind of goads him into bringing up the blue letter, right? And then saying, well, where is it? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, it's in your pocket. It's in your pocket.
He's wearing the apron that, because he decides to put on the apron that he wore on his first day.
Yeah.
And so it's
his mailroom apron as he's going
in the pocket. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So he pulls it out and he reads it and he finds out that, and I can't remember the exact wording, but Hudsucker left all of the shares to his successor, basically.
Yeah,
whoever they name,
whoever the successor would
be. I expect to be Musburger.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's not, whoever it is gets all of them. And the whole timing element of this is it has to be before midnight, because if he doesn't claim them on January 1, they go into the public sector. So he's like suspended in the earth, and then there's the fight with Jesus and the devil, and he kind of falls a little bit further because the stick gets pulled out.
The stick gets pulled out, but then the devil's teeth gets in there, and it gives him just enough.
Yeah, how does the fucking teeth fly in? I don't even know.
Gets knocked out of his mouth by the broomstick.
Well, it got knocked out. It got knocked out because when it landed on the ground, it went chop, 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 chop. So that was probably a Raimi thing too.
But that's his last, his last 5 foot fall.
Right, and then I think Tibbs, or whatever the guy's name was, stuck him into the thing.
Moses?
They got in their house somehow, yeah.
Yes. Or whatever, yeah. So he falls to the ground, and then I don't even know what to say here. I'm sorry. Like, he has his reunion with Amy Archer. They reconcile. And then I think Musburger goes to kill himself at the end, right? And he's caught and put into an asylum as a crazy person, and then for kids.
Well, he's got another circle.
He's got a new invention, a new circle design.
The frisbee.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that?
This guy is knocking him out of the park.
Yeah. Well, the guy who invented the hula hoop invented the frisbee not too long afterwards in real life.
Shit.
Yeah. There you go.
Shit.
That guy is a fucking genius.
So that is kind of true to life. I don't know. I didn't look him up.
That's interesting if true.
Yeah, I mean, I read it two different places. Let me see.
Very cool.
Okay, wait a minute. Hula hoop.
I don't believe you. I believe you. I believe everything on the internet these days.
I mean, at this point, I guess so, right?
It's all real. Even the shit that contradicts each other, it's all true.
It was successfully marketed by Whammo.
So company.
Yeah, but from what I read, is he invented both.
Huh. Whammo.
Anyway, so yeah, this is. I mean, you guys are both right. This movie jumps out of the window hot and fast, and then it just kind of splats on the ground. It's very much like falling out of a building.
Where'd you get that metaphor?
Yeah, did we watch an entire 2-hour movie that had that metaphor? Here's the thing, and yeah, I mean, in a way, I wish it was set earlier than the 50s, because once I started to realize, wait a minute, everything looks like, even the cars look like they're from the 30s. It's like that. Not that would have made anything better, but I'm just saying, it's like there is that element that has to be made aware. But that doesn't change the fact that it's still, in all of its drab and concrete jungle ways, it is still this gorgeous movie.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's the great that's the great counterbalance, right? It's like this movie that takes place in this concrete jungle that's all gray and drab and and beige. The only things of color are the plastic that's used to make the hula hoops and everything,
and the teeth.
Yeah, and the teeth. And I suppose Jennifer Jason Leigh's lipstick.
Yeah.
But still, everything else is black or gray or beige or whatever, and it's it's a beautiful movie because it has that gothic kind of empire style of New York City of the 30s and
Concrete jungle.
Yep,
with the Jennifer Jason Leigh's lipstick reminded me of one of my favorite Bruce Campbell moments because he's in this and we haven't even mentioned it.
No shit.
Smitty.
Well, we've said Smitty, but we
yes. When she asks, "Does this suit look mannish to you?" Because she's self-conscious because of things that Norval was saying about who he thinks she is in real life.
Yeah,
and some of it rings a little too close to home for her. And he says, "Yeah, sure. Let's grab a highball." He always just wants to go get highballs with her after work.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, honey. And he slaps her ass too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
But they're also like she even makes the point that it's like he's her dumb friend.
Yeah, and him slapping her on the ass is more like locker room, like
man,
like boys, good job, good game,
right?
Yeah, because she is one of the boys. Yeah,
and
that's what he views her. Yeah,
exactly. And there is no forced like triangle with him, with the Smitty character, which is great.
No, he undermines her. He undermines her in the end.
He does. He does.
Yeah. There's a lot of undermining in this movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, she undermined everybody else who was going out to try to find out about him. She tricked them, and she didn't work on the J. Edgar Hoover story that she was supposed to work on.
I mean, that's the media.
She went out, right? Sure. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's they're all going to try to get the scoop.
Yep.
If somebody in that room didn't call themselves Scoops McGee, then they were making the wrong movie. One of those guys.
If that little kid didn't call himself Hoops McGee.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I think we've done it with this one. It remains in my the bottom third of the Coen Brothers films for me, but I will revisit it for all the good things we've said about it.
I think it'd be interesting to do a little bit of a ranking. Maybe
eventually.
Maybe after this month. Maybe we come to our The Man Who Wasn't There episode and we do a ranking
of what we've covered,
of everything that we've covered, because it'll be everything.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
not everything. There's still a few movies left, like Hail Caesar. And
no, I mean everything that had been made up to that point.
Yeah, everything we've covered up to this point. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, we didn't. I mean, there are a couple that we skipped over, right? Like,
we'll just rank what we covered. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll just rank it.
No, because we're the only one we're skipping.
Is
this
Lady
month
Killers, right?
Is one we've already done. It was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Well, and Lady Killers.
Yeah, Lady Killers.
Oh, Lady Killers is later.
No, it's before No Country.
Oh, we're doing No Country for Old Men. That's right. Sorry, I thought we were stopping at. Yeah,
we also aren't we also skipping Intolerable?
We're skipping Intolerable Cruelty and Lady Killers. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I for some reason we were stopping at Man Who Wasn't There. But yes.
Well, I will say one thing for sure. The one we're finishing on is.
That's a very good movie.
That's a good way to go out.
It's the Best Picture winner. So.
Exactly. But anyway,
but yes, we'll do a little ranking.
We'll do a ranking. Now, one thing I do want to say real quick, because this one you can kind of tell has a little bit of lineage from Barton Fink, right? The design, it's just West Coast versus East Coast, right? It's even roughly the same era, mid 20th century. And it feels, I think the main reason why I think Barton Fink is also so much, is that it's a lot more restrained, even when it gets nutty. It's
a much smaller scale. You deal with far less things, and there's no. I don't know. Deus ex machina, or however you say it, is not there.
I mean, the comedy is wacky at times in Barton Fink, but it's so much more reserved, it seems, than
the metaphor is a lot more subtle in Barton Fink as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's subtext, if you will.
Yeah, but you can definitely see that there's lineage there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, sure. I mean, you can definitely see that there is these are from the same people. You know?
Well, next week you can definitely tell the movie is made by the Coen Brothers.
Yes.
And next week we are covering Fargo, which I can't wait to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, boy. That's probably going to be an hour and a half of just us going, yeah.
You betcha. You betcha.
Maybe even tell a story about Minnesota.
I can never do that accent right, though. It's so bad.
I'll get Stephanie to come on and do it for us. If she was here, I would. So, yeah, next week we have Fargo. Jeff, what do we have coming up on your various other Monster Mondays and what's nots?
Yeah, and whatnots. So Fargo's next Wednesday, filmseizure.com. Also on Monday at filmseizure.com, I kick off a month of Universal Classic Monsters.
Nice.
With The House of Frankenstein. Check that out Monday afternoon. All of those at filmseizure.com. You can go to Film Seizure. You can also find out where we are, where you can follow us at the various socials. And you can also find out where you can go and subscribe to the podcast as well. This Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, you can read my review of Byleth, the Demon of Incest.
Oof. Oh, I know that movie.
Yeah, that movie sucks. That movie sucks hard. So there's a preview of my review. It sucks. It sucks. Anyway, it's terrible. Anyway, so you can go and check that out at bmovieanima.com, as well as my other reviews of better movies, because sometimes I do that. In fact, almost every movie I've done is better than Byleth. Anyway, so that is where you can do those things. Fellers, I think I think we did it. I think we HUD and sucked and proxed.
We certainly did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until next week when we head to the snowbanks of Minnesota. I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Aloysius, the janitor.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.